Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and today I am back with another layout using the Doodlebug Happy Healing collection. I pulled out this sketch from Scrapbook Generation. This is sketch support number 36, and so I will link it below for you guys. Allison Davis did an amazing job with the sketch and the 3 layouts she created using this sketch. I did take inspiration from the sketch as well as one of her layouts. These photos that I'm going to document are of Eli when he was sick right around his birthday. I decided to look through the papers and see what papers I wanted to pull out. I definitely wanted to use this white paper that has black text on it, and it just says "Get well soon," and it's repeated multiple times. But I knew I needed to bring in some color as well. So I also brought out the blue paper that has the multicolor hearts on it. Now, while this layout is about Eli being sick, it's more about Roby. Roby is one of our dogs that we keep. If you don't know this about us, we are dog sitters, and we do have a pretty regular clientele. Most of the dogs that we sit are repeat dogs, and Roby is one of those dogs. Roby is Eli's favorite, and he is with us quite a bit. During this time, when Eli was really sick, Roby definitely felt it as well. And I have so many pictures of Eli and Roby laying together. When Eli was sick, he was laying all over the house, on the couch, on my bed, on the floor when I was scrapbooking. He just wanted to be near me, and Roby just wanted to be near Eli. So one of the requirements of being on Rover, which is a dog sitting app that we use, we are required to take photos and send them to the owners. So luckily I have all of these photos that I took for the app, but at the end, when I was looking through them, I realized that there's some really cute photos of Eli and Roby, and I knew that I had to document it. So I have 3 4x6 photos. Those are going to go on the far left-hand side, and I added that heart paper to the left and right of it. And then I decided that I was going to add that Get Well Soon paper right above and below the photos. And I'm using the measurements of the sketch pretty closely, but I did decide to do 2 rows of photos instead of just 1. And that's where I took inspiration from Allison's actual layout. She has one where she has 2 rows of photos. Most of the photos in the layout are in the landscape mode, but I did have 1 portrait. So this is where I veered off a little bit from the sketch and added that portrait photo to the far right-hand side. I also decided that I wanted to use this really large journaling block, and at first I thought I would add the photo on top of it and put it at an angle, but eventually I do decide to just make it straight and even with the rest of the paper and photos. I also pulled out this stripe paper and added it to the top and bottom of the photos. I felt like that also brought in a lot of the color that I needed so that my layout wasn't as white as it would have been with just that Get Well Soon paper. I did pull out my Tim Holtz Distress ink and distressed all of the edges with this really pretty blue color that matches the swimming pool in the Doodlebug collections. Then I started to get the photos down on the layout. This was Eli's first time that he's been really sick since I've had him. So I've had him just over 4 years now. And while he's gotten sick before, it's not been anything major like this. This actually ended up just being an ear infection, but it was a really bad infection. His fever was over 102. And I could not keep it down. I was continuously giving him Tylenol and Motrin, and it just would not break. We did end up in the urgent care, and all they could find was the ear infection, but the infection was really bad. But once he got some antibiotics, he started feeling better almost immediately, and I could absolutely see a huge change in him. Now, this was also during his birthday weekend. For his birthday this year, what he wanted was a sleepover, and so he had some friends over. We went and had dinner at Ford's Garage, and then we went to a trampoline park, and then he had friends over, and he made it through the dinner and the trampoline park. I could tell that something was off, but he wasn't willing to go. Like, I asked him when we were at the trampoline park if he wanted to go home. He was like, no, I want to be here with my friends, even though he wasn't feeling well. But as the night went on later and later, he was just done and he couldn't handle it. He finally admitted very late at night that he was really sick. And so at that point, the boys were already in bed and getting ready for bed. So the next morning I took all the boys home and took Eli to urgent care. I did have enough photos to span across both sides of the layout with the 2 rows, but by doing that I would have all photos and no real embellishments. So I did decide to pull out a flip flap, and I added that flip flap to the top right hand side, and then that gave me 2 additional spots that I could use the cards that were decorative. One card that I used already had the images printed on it, which was a bowl of soup, a can of soup, and then what's probably like hot tea or something like that. And then I am going to add just a piece of pattern paper to the left-hand side of the layout. I do decide to cut down that really large journaling piece, and I feel like I could probably use that top part where it says doctor visit on another layout. So I did use my X-Acto knife to trim off that piece. Once I got the paper and the pictures down, I realized that the picture was upside down. So I did have to pull that photo up, and when I did that, I tore the photo in an awkward place. The photo ripped away from the backing. It was like the printed part of the paper ripped. It was very interesting. I just used a liquid adhesive and added it down, and you can't even tell. So I did add the green plaid to the left-hand side, and I'm going to use several embellishment pieces on that. And then I realized that my stripe paper was not straight, so I did have to pull that up just a little bit to make sure that it was straight, and then I added the other piece to the left-hand side. So between the left-hand side and the right-hand side, I have 3 photos going across, so that makes 12 inches. So I was able to use 1 strip of the stripe paper as well as 1 strip of the Get Well Soon paper on the top and bottom. Once I got the left-hand side of the stripe paper down, I went to put the top piece on, and I left all of this in. I looked for several moments searching for this roll of adhesive. You can see I'm looking everywhere for it. I cannot find it anywhere. I pulled out the basket that I keep everything in. It wasn't there. And I looked to my right, and it is sitting right there. I can't believe I missed it. If it was a snake, it would have bitten me. It was crazy. But I wanted to leave that in so that I could show you guys that sometimes scrapbooking can be a little adventurous, even if it's just looking for some adhesive. So I do add the stripe paper to the top of the layout, and then I pull out my stitching tools. I am really struggling with getting my stitching straight, and Nicole uses this technique of just drawing with a ruler and a pencil a straight line. So I thought, why don't I bring out this ruler that she loves so much and try it out? I still didn't get it straight. I seriously have an issue trying to get things straight. So even with using the ruler, the line isn't straight, but I was just like, I'm just gonna go with it and I'll figure it out later. I did zoom in quite a bit so that you can see what I do when I'm not using my rulers. So if you do not have the Tim Holtz ruler that has the holes in it, you can just make your own holes. On the right hand side of the layout, I use the decorative edge line to make my stitching holes. I start on either side of the line, and then I put 1 hole in the center. And then from there, I'm putting holes in the center of the holes, if that makes sense. So just taking 2 holes, finding the center, and then determining how small I want my stitching to be. So if I want really long stitches, I'm not putting as many holes. If I want really short stitches, I am putting smaller holes. I do like the look of the more holes, so there's smaller stitching. I just feel like that gives it a better look and it gives it more detail. So on the blue border, those stitches are a little bit longer than on that card with all of the soup. So you'll be able to see that in the close-ups. I did decide to erase the pencil marks on the green piece of paper, and then I pulled out my basil stitching templates. These things are no longer available, but I do have information at the very bottom of my description about how you can contact them about bringing them back. I have seen companies bring things back over time, so if enough people contact them and say that they would like these stitching templates back, hopefully they would bring them back. I brought out this cross stitch. It made me think of like stitching somebody up like as if they had stitches. And I know that's not why Eli is sick. He actually has an ear infection and not needing stitches, but it just gave it that vibe of being sick. And I really like the way that looked. I did my stitching offline and I slowed the video down here so that you can see it. And I wanted to really point out the difference between the right hand side of the layout where the smaller stitches are on that soup paper and then the longer stitches are on that blue paper. So now that I have kind of the base of the layout done, I'm going to start to work on my embellishments. The first thing that I want to embellish is that green square. I knew that I wanted to add several of these embellishment pieces, and I was okay with using a ton of them. So I knew I needed a box of tissues. I did start out with a larger one, and I felt like that one was a little too long, so I went with more of a square one that was a little bit taller. I also knew that I wanted one of these little germ pieces on here, and then I found this red circle and I thought that would be perfect to cover up my stitching mistake, so I added that to the top part of that green square. I did put my box of tissues up on fun foam and added that right on top of the circle. And then using my glue press to add some liquid adhesive to the back of the fun foam. Then I tucked in that little yellow germ piece as well as a pill bottle. And then I pulled out the puffy stickers and I thought about adding the little red cross sign, but I wasn't liking the way that that looked, so I took that off. And then I decided to add a hot water bottle. I think that's what those things are called. I then pulled out the mini icons and I added a little book that says Home Remedies and it has some soup on it. And then I also added a tiny little pill. I love these pills. They're so cute in this collection. I then found this little teddy bear that has some balloons that say get well soon. So I added that and moved the hot water bottle to the right hand side of the layout. I then started to work on the cluster on the far left-hand side. I found this sticker that says Feeling the Love, and it is that bubble stickers, and I just don't like the way that those look. So I did go ahead and cut off the bubble part of it, and so it just looks like a circle. And I added it up on fun foam, and that is the start of my cluster on the left. I'm looking through all of the embellishments to include the ephemera pieces as well as the icons, and I found this little bag of, I think they're supposed to be cough drops. It has like a lemon on the front of it, so lemon flavored cough drops. I added that, and then I also found this little pill bottle that has hearts in it, and it looks like it's supposed to be dumping out the hearts, and then right below it I added a spoon that's full of hearts. And then I pulled out the puffy stickers again, and I added 2 little pills as well as that red cross sign. I did decide to go ahead and add that back in on this embellishment cluster. And then I pulled out the shape sprinkle and added an additional pill, so I now have 3 pills in that cluster. Then over on the right hand side, I did want to beef up the 2 cards that I have over there. So I did pull out the shape sprinkles and I added a package of pills as well as a little germ piece and a green heart to the bottom blue box. And then the yellow box that has all of the soups on it, I did add another little pill as well as a silver heart. This collection has some silver pieces in it, and I did add a couple of the silver pieces to the clusters so that I thought that I could use the silver thickers to start my title. My title is going to be Roby Makes It Better because that's really what the layout is about. Obviously, I'm going to journal about the fact that he wasn't feeling very well, but this layout is more about the fact that one of the things about having a dog is a dog seems to understand when somebody is sick and they just want to be there and take care of you. And I really wanted to showcase that for Eli and make sure he had that documented. Now, I moved the word Roby over and I lost the O. I can't find it anywhere. Do you see it? You see it on my finger? I couldn't believe that I looked for it. It wasn't as long as I looked for that adhesive roll, but it did take me a minute to realize that it was attached to me. I did use some liquid adhesive on the back of those stickers because, we know that stickers don't stick very well. And also my title said, Roby Make It Better, which that didn't make any sense. So I did have to pull up that blue letters and add that S in. And then that is it for this video. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. I hope you guys enjoyed this layout using the Doodlebug Happy Healing collection. I have so many more layouts planned. I can't wait to show you guys. So stay tuned for additional layouts. If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.